Good afternoon. I'd like to thank the University of Kentucky for having me speak on this topic. Laminitis, an alternative approach. I'm not even sure this is an alternative approach. It's certainly not what I usually see. I'll usually see the wood clogs or anything that really stacks up the heel. Obviously, you look at this foot, it is stacked up. Now, when these cases just come to me because somebody will lead a horse out of a stall and they'll say, you know, he's not very good. A lot of them are barefoot. Some have the other setup on them. And I'll just approach the problem the same way I do with everything else I do. It's more common sense than anything. I take my past history. I know what's worked on different cases. Laminitis is quite different. These are all chronic laminitis. This is not acute laminitis by any stretch, so vastly different. My goal is to get rid of sole pressure, number one, and get bone alignment back as close to normal as I can get it. And what roles these all play, well, we'll see some cases coming. I've got 5 or 6 different cases. First one will be in depth, and the rest are pretty well the same way I approach them. I started in '77. My dad's the one who gave me most of my knowledge. He's a gentleman top right, standardbred trainer. He invented the whole lacing quarter cracks way back mid-'60s. It says in the program I'm a certified journeyman farrier. That is untrue. And those aren't credits that I've earned, so I'm not sure how that got on there, but anyway, I want to make that clear. Now, the case on the left, seedy toe, that probably plays in more to how I deal with laminitic cases than anything else. That delamination, if you want to call it, the wall is totally detached from the laminae. That's caused by a fungus. Now, most laminitic cases, they feel the deep flexor tendon is just pulling on that coffin bone, pulling it down and around. And that gets interesting because the gentleman who presented before me, he's showing data, which I didn't even know existed, to tell you the truth, but it is kind of showing what happens when you elevate the heel and decrease that tension on the deep flexor. Now, the one in the center, that's a wall separation, starts down in the sole, migrates up the wall. That's an infection, not a fungus. It's an infection and detaches the wall from the laminae. And the other one on the far right is an actual quarter crack, but the exact same thing. You can see where there's an abscess in the sole, migrated up the wall, just wasn't as extensive. And we lace those, and that's how we put them back together. Most of the cases that I deal with involve sole pressure. You can see the one on the left, that's your white line disease, as they call it. It's a seedy toe is what they used to call it years before. It's a fungus that travels up the wall, detaches the laminae. Next one's just a typical thoroughbred, collapsed heel. The shoe's kind of set short because they don't want to get it ripped off. And we just rebuild the wall, build them out and back, give the bulb some support, and the black pad absorbs a ton of concussion. One beside it, thoroughbred, same thing. The heels have rolled, so we're just trying to get the shoe out off the sole and back some support. And the next one, identical again. That's a thoroughbred or a standardbred, same type deal. Now, when it comes to laminitis, the questions come with sole pressure. How much does it contribute to the lameness in these horses? Well, you can look at this case here. This horse is obviously walking. When he walks forward, he's walking right off the end of that coffin bone. It's got a little bit of sole to protect it. So my job is I'm going to try and create wall in the front to get that bone off the ground. And in doing that, this is, when you look at this, totally different than the first picture. This is a thoroughbred mare. The heels are collapsed and rolled over, and completely different than the other one. But we've got x-rays and all. This is one of my main cases. And this is the first case. This is a thoroughbred broodmare. She's in foal, 8 years old. First time I saw her was mid-September of 23. And the next video will show my process of trying to get this horse sound. As we said, thoroughbred mare. One thing I look at almost immediately is how much growth we have in the dorsal aspect of the wall. And as you can see, the growth rings, a lot in the heel. These heels don't grow up, they grow forward. This is a typical thoroughbred foot. And your toes are just splattered and going out, massive flares. So that's what we really got to identify, just how bad things are. I'm giving you a little bit of a video around this foot. As I say, you can see just kind of a typical thoroughbred foot. Flares out through the side. There's just no real integrity. I won't know how thick this wall is really until I get 2 or 3 times into this thing. But now you can see the frog's taking most of the load, but she's walking completely on her sole and right on the end of that coffin bone. So what I need to do is find out where that wall is attached to the lamini, nice and soundly. And then, as you know, it's going to move forward. It's going to be very close to where, looking at the frog, as to where where a normal shoe would sit. Obviously, this is anything but normal, but and now I'm just chasing everything. That's a Makita crosscut burr, carbide, very sharp. And like I say, I'm just looking for the bottom. I don't want any kind of fungus or anything that gets trapped under the glue. And we kind of address that with the adhesives when we put that on. But I'm just, as I said, going right around the whole perimeter of what we would call the white line and finding it. I'm trimming that wall back as far as I can towards the center of the foot, because I don't want this thing splattered out. Second time, now I'm kind of going after the sole. She can't stand that long, so she's heavily sedated. You can see a little bit of an abscess there. Probably, who knows, could have been a rock. But nothing to be concerned about. You just palpate them. Now I'm sizing the shoe up to it to see, I'm going to set it way back, but I'm checking my heels, the width of my shoe. Now we're just kind of doing your final preps. The bond is crucial in these things, because these things probably stay on 6 weeks before we see her again. So we just want them locked on. And as I say, we're just going to clean it up. I see a spot that I don't like, so I just come back again a second time. As I say, the adhesion is critical with this. You don't want it letting loose and then that wall kind of flaring out on you. You got a wide web shoe that we're going to use. It kind of locks your wall in. It can't flare out. That's what we're looking for. So now I'll just put a clean wrap on it. So when I come back with the adhesive, everything's clean and it just goes on the best we can get it done. I already have the glue mixed. It's a fast set methacrylic. I will put lots of extra glue on here, because as you'll see shortly, what I'm trying to do is really extend that wall, get that sole up off the ground and get rid of all her sole pressure so she can get around. This be an interesting one, because most of these horses grow a tremendous amount of heel, which she does, but it grows forward. It's just got that typical wall that's rolled. So we're just trying to build toe more than anything. The heels stay the same, and I just want to make sure my shoes set out far and wide so I get no sole pressure. Now you just start manipulating this glue, and with this plastic on there, it makes it very easy. And you can see how far back I'm building my wall to set the shoe on. So all that toe that's flared out, and it's basically worthless because it's not doing anything for her. So we're just going to build a wall, give her something to stand on, and hopefully she gets around better. Very easy to manipulate this stuff. And once it gets, you'll feel it starting to firm up, and then you get rid of your air bubbles, and you're just, you're getting a real good bond. We're going to keep these shoes on probably for 6 weeks. That'll be our cycle we're kind of looking for, depending how she's going. She'll dictate everything through how sound she is. Like I say, it's starting to tighten up a little bit, and it's giving me the ability to just get it right where I want it. And as I say, I'll build more than I need, and then I'll rasp it down, as we're doing right here. I want a nice flat surface for my shoe to sit on. Now, when you look at it, when you're looking at your frog and where I built my glue, it's not a pretty normal-looking hoof at this point. Not that it will be in the end, but as far as when you see all the excessive adhesive and stuff, but that's the whole idea. Now I'm just going to make sure there's no glue on the sole that shoe can set on, and we'll put our shoe together in a way to help us protect all that. So this pretty going to keep it same way, clean it up, looking for no sole pressure. Then we're going to we'll wrap this thing back up and get ready to glue the shoe on. Will be the next stage. And it's all been prepped. We'll go through that later on in this. And she don't want to stand too long. So now I got it cleaned up. Now I'm setting my shoe on. So I'll set the toe of my shoe to the wall I built, and I'm looking at my my heels. So I want my support where I can in the heel, give her lots of heel support. We put a plate in there. I'm not going to put in dental impression. The whole idea was we'll slide shims in as needed to get her the most comfortable. So some of these things you put dental impression in. That can be trickier but we're going to cover that later, because that can get a little tricky when you're using dental impression, because once again, sole pressure. But anyway, so this thing sets up fairly quickly. I just want to make sure we got no glue anywhere in the sole. Oh, I need a little bit on that side, so I just took some excess I had just to build my heel in a little better. Here we are at the end. It's glued on. Your plate's there. It's got room to slide a shim in as we need. You kind of see where the foot's setting to the frog. Here's what I'm talking about. That plate is just riveted in. That's a piece of natural rubber. This was on a whole different project, but you can also do that. But the key is you put the butyl tape in. That's the gray tape that goes around. It's higher than your pad, so it keeps the glue squeezing to the outside. And then you can also put in Play-Doh, which will keep any glue from getting on the sole. And thanks to Martin Kenny for that one. And here we are putting on our butyl tape. First one, because my plate is flush with that pad, the first one's going in the exact same way. I'm going on the inner web there. Butyl tape, if you don't know, it stays soft the whole time, never does get hard. Now my goal is to keep all glue off. So now I have that plate is right flush with that black pad. And it's always going to be in the heels where you get caught, especially under these when you have a plate there, because it's hard to manage your glue. We've learned through years the best way to do it. Now I will make my butyl tape higher than the pad, and when I apply that shoe, I push the glue in. I won't put any glue on that heel. I can just push it in with my pads, and it runs up against that black butyl tape. Is like a retainer wall, and it'll just keep it stuck, or keep it right in place, keep anything from getting in on the sole. If you do get that hard glue in the sole and these pads are flexing down, this is what we learned with the dental impression material. If those pads compress, then you end up with sole pressure, because the stuff, it's soft as it is still enough to bite them. So now I'm putting on a second layer to elevate the black material, and it'll come in black or gray. We've kind of switched over to gray as of late, but this is what's going to keep our glue all restricted restricted off the sole and onto the wall. So now I've got a raised rim all the way around, basically a dam. And that's that. You glue them on that way. Let's go back to when we lengthened them walls. It's a fast set methacrylic. Lord product, comes under very numerous names, but it's all the same stuff. Anyway, I'm putting in copper sulfate. Purpose for that is I don't know why. I'm not sure who even told me, but this stuff really helps this adhesive bond. And I think for if you have any kind of fungus, that type of thing going on, it certainly keeps that at bay, because I've done this with lots of regular glue-on horses that got that black crud. You get it right around the white line in deep, and it seems to really knock it down or keep it at bay, to say the least. And you just mix it so that copper sulfate gets dispersed all through there evenly. Now we just go over to the horse. One thing you'll notice, I've got the shoe on the other foot, and now, like, it's this way it always goes. They get extremely light on the other foot. Before, they don't even want to pick it up, and now they just pick it right up off the ground. Now she's tranked, obviously still. You can see how your wall's all stretched out, and that's why I love that copper sulfate. And one other thing that we've learned over the years, this glue shrinks when it sets. That's why when you do a seedy toe and you fill in the whole front of the foot with it, it'll lock down, and usually the next day they are broken bone lame. As soon as you take the glue off, sound right up. So I would assume what's happening is that glue locks right down on the coffin bone. And this is what you're always thinking about when you're doing this. I'm building wall. I'm not necessarily putting it on the face of the wall, so I'm not that concerned about it. But what I am concerned about is sole pressure. So I'm just trying to hit that fine line where I don't create sole pressure up in the front end of this foot. Here it is. It's cured, leveled up. Next thing I want to do is size the shoe. I've already sized it before. Now I put the plate on. I'm just looking at my heels. This is where I'm going to set it. So there's lots of toe going to come off. Basically, the whole goal was to elevate that coffin bone off the ground. And now we're just cleaning up the adhesive. You want to expose that pad, because that pad gives a lot of lateral movement. These feet, when they hit the ground, they expand and contract, so it doesn't lock them in. And because of all the butyl tape, we've tried to keep everything off the sole. That's all I'm hoping for. Getting rid of anything that I feel is not necessary. There's no real structural support to that wall. I don't want to thin out the face of the wall that much. I want to leave some integrity to that hoof capsule still there. And as it grows out, I'll gain a little more wall, and there'll be less glue next time. We're shooting for 6 weeks. I'm just getting rid of the flares, is what I'm kind of pointing at there. So I'm going to, I'll just get rid of those flares. They're locked onto the shoe. Everything's locked down so it doesn't splatter out. And obviously when they're barefoot, nothing really stops them from going wherever they want. This just kind of keeps it locked in place. As they say, in 6 weeks we'll come back. We'll get a good look at this foot as to where it is now and how it's growing out. Key is these are typical thoroughbred feet. That shoe is going to move forward because that's the direction of the tubules back in the heel as it grows out. So it'll be interesting to say the least. And we're going to be showing you right shortly how she came out of this. As you can see, I've backed it up right to the white line. You see all the white line exposed in the front. But as they say, there's really no purpose to that whole toe that's hanging out there, and that's why we remove it all. And she's certainly being a sweetheart to work on here. She was good throughout the whole process, actually, for what she was going through. Here we are at the end. So basically, you're looking at your coronet bands. Nothing's really changed that much. The only thing that's happened, I've just got everything off the ground. And this foot was quite a bit different. This is your front right. That was just completely, that coffin bone's completely on the ground. And that's it. As they say, the proof is in the pudding. This mare, I was told prior to me getting there, when they'd take her out to the field, she would just find a spot where she could get comfortable and just stand there. And I'm going to show what happened with this horse. And we're also going to interview the lady who owns him. Main purpose is certainly not to give me credit. This is a technique. Anybody can do this, really. It's not that difficult. But the other thing is what medications this mare on, because most people say, what did you put her on? But anyway, here we go. Fun to watch.
I can tell you right now, she's back way better. Oh, she almost wanted to run there for a minute.
I thought she was going to run
I
off.
did too.
She's gonna go roll.
Oh.
When she feels good, she rolls.
She's walking so much better.
There she goes.
Yep, you know she's feeling good when she rolls.
Thank God.
It'll be interesting in a couple days
Horses.
where she's.
Believe it or not, this will help her pregnancy too.
I would
know.
have to think so.
Hey, girl. Hey there, you feeling good? Hmm? You...
Okay, so yeah, just give the history.
Okay, so she is an 8-year-old thoroughbred, and I've been having issues with her feet since I got her when she was just turning 4. She has been through 8 different farriers trying to figure out her feet, and then finally Ian, who has changed her life. Honestly, she was at a point where we were wondering if we were going to have to euthanize her. She's had surgery on her foot down in Ocala. She's had a P3 fracture. She has been through, I cannot count how many different styles of shoeings as well as boots trying to get her sound. I'm not sure.
Well,
It's just been, it's been a nightmare for her. She will go through, she's gone through periods where she was sound and wonderful, and then she just came crashing down again. But this is the first time, and I can't tell you how long, that she's running, she's jumping, she's bucking, she's enjoying life again.
oh, cool.
So she used to have to be on mute in order to try to help her with the pain and discomfort. She was on Epsom salt soaks as well to try to help, and now she is completely medication free. She is just grass and regular feed, nothing else, and she's running, jumping, bucking, doing great.
No, let's hope it stays the same.
So second application, we're like 6 weeks out, and you're going to see how the feet grew out. If you look at the growth rings on these horses, you'll see how much more they grow in the heel. Just classic founder. They grow a ton of heel, very little toe. Difference, this mare, she grows forward and not straight up and down. 2 things. When she's heading there, you wonder what the black thing was on her feet. I love green Epsom salts for pulling soreness. I think it does a great job of pulling soreness out of the foot, and it also hardens up the sole, toughens up the frog. We put the plates on in round 1 just so I could slide shims in. We wanted to, adjust her frog pressure as needed, but the way she went, we never did anything. They got a little beat up, but that's that's why they were on there, to put shims in it, and we never did use them. So this is round 2. We're 6 weeks later, approximately. You can see the glue's kind of breaking loose, but she's sound as can be, so you know, we did well getting this far, as distorted as they were. Plates got a little wear on them, packed full of mud. The one thing we were doing before, I packed those soles with green Epsom salts to pull soreness. And here we are. I just removed the glue. You just want a nice clean bond once again. So I'm just going to rebuild these feet same way. I paint them with Thrush Buster because it's like a road map to follow to the end. You can see how your white line's knitting in real well with the wall. Got more sole, obviously. Now the only difference is I've rebuilt the foot. You don't need to see that again. Same size shoe going on the 2 Elite, except for there's no plate this time because it really didn't. I don't know how much we really helped her. I've had others that do well without a plate, so I think we have enough sole, so we went on with it. I'm backing them up a little more. You can see still going to take some more toe off. So basically getting it set up, and here we are. There's your front left and right. You see them both. So going to be some toe come off. And here's our x-rays. This is with the plate. I was hoping to get more x-rays, but this is all I had. They had some from before before we even started. And here we are now with just a regular open shoe. You can see your toe come back a little bit more. And that's how much toe's coming off. That probably the front right would be my guess. It's kind of the worst of the two, as usual. Here's our x-ray on it with the plate. And here we are without. You can see how the sole kind of bellies down. Look, as sound as she is, I'm not changing anything. And here we are with them on after. Foot's actually starting to look fairly normal. Not quite as much glue build in the toe. There's your front right. Same thing. And she's progressed. I set her back. I was a little aggressive. She wasn't as good as this for probably about a week, 10 days, and then here she comes. She's right back, feeling awesome. And this is what it's all about. You gotta love this. She's in full. I think she's somewhere around the 6-month mark. Not sure, but she's living life. Like I say, this is what it's all about. Yeah. So anyway, now we're gonna head into round 3. Now we went 10 weeks. I just did it the other day on the 10th. So it was this time went real well because we didn't have to use any tranquilizer. She was sound enough. Here we are at 10 weeks. Feet don't look too distorted. As always, the foot, that shoe's growing forward. If you were mapping a foot on them, you'd say, wow, it's way out of whack. But we're kind of handcuffed as to what we can do. And the whole idea is this foot's not as bad. And here we are after. We set them back. Same thing, a little bit farther. Trying to keep her balanced. You know, you're handcuffed a little bit as to what you can do, and here we are. Same thing. I'd love to still get that toe back, looking at my frog, pull it back a little farther, but we just gotta go with it as it allows us to. So second application, we're like 6 weeks out, and you're gonna see how the feet grew out. If you look at the growth rings on these horses, you'll see how much more they grow in the heel. Just classic founder. They grow a ton of heel, very little toe. Difference, this mare, she grows forward and not straight up and down. 2 things. When she's heading there, you wonder what the black thing was on her feet. I love green Epsom salts for pulling soreness. I think it does a great job of pulling soreness out of the foot, and it also hardens up the sole, toughens up the frog. We put the plates on in round one just so I could slide shims in. We wanted to, adjust her frog pressure as needed, but the way she went, we never did anything. They got a little beat up, but that's why they were on there, to put shims in it, and we never did use them. So Hope's progress. Look, that was the third application. This time there was no adjustment period. She was sound as soon as we turned her back out. After the second application, as you've seen, we got pretty aggressive pulling that toe back and trying to get better bone alignment. The beauty this time was we could do it without tranquilizer. And that's obviously a plus because this mare's in foal. The end goal, you're looking at your frog and shoe placement. That frog's how you map any foot. And our goal is just to get the toe back further and get a better bone alignment. Takes time, but I would say in a few more applications we'll be real close. So the second case, this is a thoroughbred racehorse. This is more of a classic rotation case. Grows a ton of heel, no toe. This horse got flagged at the track, and then the vets contacted me, wanted to know if I could get this horse comfortable enough so they could place him. And that was our goal. We have a thoroughbred racehorse here. This horse was actually in training, and the track vets just flagged him, said no more. Now I saw this, so I'm not sure how long it was. It was shortly after, because after they saw what was going on, they just figured, let's place this horse. So actually the vets from the track contacted me, said, could you take a look at this horse and see if you can help him. So I've cleaned out my sole back in the heel. I'm never too concerned about back there, how much I take out. The toe, you can see I left it there, and you can see the bruising in it. So there's a lot of heel going to come off here. Now we're basically right back to where we were with the other horse, where you kind of rebuild the toe, lengthen the toe is what I'm going to do. And it's already built, so now I'm just going to glue on a shoe, no plate, nothing, because this horse on a racetrack, so it's very deep. I'm going to get frog pressure, and I'm knocking those heels down where it's right flush with the frog. And this is just a race plate I'm putting on it. I don't think you need those big wide web shoes for support and all that they say. I think the narrower your shoe, the more the horse's foot gets into the surface and gives that frog a little bit of support. So anyway, this is actually the way I glue most shoes, except for I don't have to build the toe. So you got the black butyl tape, you can see it on the inside. Now I'm just going to go over here and put it on. Everything's basically the same at this point. You put in the extra in the heels, so because you're setting them out wide, and I'm going to set them all the way back. I want to pull the toe back on this horse. Once again, I'm using you can see how I built the toe in already. I'm just going to set my shoe down, look at my frog, and then set my heels right to the widest part of the frog and as far back as I can get it. You can see when you squeeze down on that shoe, the glue goes in on the sole and out on the pad. You got that butyl tape humped up, so there's no sole pressure. That's my goal, is zero sole pressure. And now you're just moving that glue around with the palm of your hand. And basically we'll be waiting for this thing to set. And you can see a lot of toe coming off, just like the other horse. Not a big difference other than another thoroughbred. Except for this foot's more of a classic founder, where it grows a ton of heel and no toe. And this horse doesn't grow any toe. So basically that's what I'm doing. The glue that squeezes to the inside, just get that out of there. And now you're waiting for your glue to set so you can set them down. Thankfully on this horse, and the last horse. The other foot's good. Well, I shouldn't say that was the last horse. On this horse, the other foot is at least good for him to stand on. And all they want to do is get this horse sound enough so they can place him. And here you are. You can see looking at your frog. I'd love to have the shoe back a little bit more, but you got to do this in increments. But the ton of toe going to come off. Big change, obviously, for him. And now it's just a matter of cleaning them up, which we did. Looks somewhat normal. Certainly better than it was. And that's it. Here's your x-ray. You can see how much the toe goes out, and he's rotated pretty good. So if I drop the heel and lengthen the toe, I should be able to bring my bone around, which should come around somewhat. Sorry about the x-ray. It's a picture of an x-ray. And here we are before. And this is where it goes to after. And like I say, pretty straightforward. Exact same idea. Here he is. This was 3 or 4 days after we glued him the second time. And I just asked the guy, give me some video of this horse. And this is what they got around. They wouldn't let him on the track, but they'd let him in here. And obviously he's feeling real good and raring to go. I doubt he was medicated at all. There he is heading back to the barn. So just same approach, different horse, pretty well same outcome. Now Dude's process, he kind of, I did him twice as you've seen. He got lost in the shuffle, ended up in some farm. It's just a horrible deal. He malnourished, and just from what he was, you saw earlier, to where he looked like. They kind of contacted me because he got sore again in the foot, and we got him out of there. He got moved to Birch Creek Farm in New Jersey. It's a rehab farm. They do foals in the spring. And he is under the wonderful care of owner Judy Janzanelli, and Dude is living a good life. Trust me, he just gets spoiled every day. And I do get to see him once in a while. I'm in Jersey, and we're always trimming his feet and keeping him as sound as we can. Now the third case, this one's pretty rough. You're looking at it right there. He's just completely walking on his soul. And he's 20 some years old, kind of a nice old horse. And they shipped him into Belmont. And here's how that went. I had a big horse ship into Belmont. Feeder, train wreck. He's 20 something years old. I don't know how long he was rotated. But you can see he's completely walking on his soul. And they send the pictures first. They bring him down. We'll see what we can do. He's got a lot of heel. Typical founder horse. Grew a ton of heel. No toe at all. This horse grew absolutely nothing. Because I'd seen him for maybe 4 or 5 months. Came in completely non-weight bearing. That's the way he stood the whole time. With no doubt, you would too. So I debride everything, get down to the good lamini. I build in the whole toe. Exact same thing as you saw in the other videos. Then I put on I'm going with an open shoe. Looks like a big elite, maybe size 2. He's a pretty big horse. He's a big boy. So we just get it set, checking to make sure your glue's set before you set him down. Just start cleaning up the wall. It's all the same. Just knocking that toe back, trying to get a better angle. And here we are, just finishing up, cleaning him up. You set him down. He doesn't trust this thing at all. He's been non-weight bearing 15 minutes ago. So I asked the owner to walk him down and back, because usually they realize when they can walk on it, things aren't too bad. And he's pretty careful here, starting off, and then he starts to figure it out. Anytime they turn on these things, that's when there's a little bit of torque inside that hoof capsule, and they feel it. You'll see him. He knows it's there, that's for sure. But from like hobbling out of a trailer, to this, we're doing pretty damn good. And then the next test is obviously you go pick up the other foot to see where you are. And you see he's still pointing it out front, takes kind of a funny step on it. So that's what I do. I go over here, see how he is, bingo, light as a feather. So you know you're going in the right direction. And Harley's a good boy. Anyway, here's what it looked like when we started. Totally collapsed down through the middle and flares everywhere. So we just kind of tightened it down, like I say, size 2. And then we'll get into the x-rays here. They're pretty rough, to say the least. And you're gonna build some wall, try and get a little better bone alignment. Sorry about the picture. I took a picture off of a screen inside a trailer. Kind of straight off in the back. We're 3 days short of a month since we did them the first time. A little bumpy when he turns.
A little bit.
But from where we were. Alrighty. So the one thing we found when I pulled the shoe, he had an abscess in the sole, because it's just kind of sloughed off nice and clean. Here's where he was when we started. This is like 30 days. And then here's where we are when we got done. So you're still building toe. So he doesn't look too bad. And
Yeah, just walk him off.
certainly better off than he was. Now this time they shipped him to Yonkers. Yonkers Raceway. I met him there. And we did him. He's good on the straightaway. It's when they turn, he just needs a little more stability. Once we get that sole in there right. She gets game, jogs him back. Wow. Tell you what, that's pretty good for where we were.
Pretty good.
Now, Harley, he was upstate New York quite a ways. I live in Maryland, and everything is consistency with these horses. If you can keep them on a 30-day cycle, you're probably all right. It's tough to find people who kind of want to take on these things. I mean, you look at them kind of feed, it looks so odd, and it's just, like I say, it's a common sense process. So we just couldn't keep on a schedule. he was struggling to keep him sound when he got over the 30 days, and unfortunately they decided it just wasn't worth that, putting him through that kind of pain all the time. So they actually they euthanized him, and it was a tough day for that family, unfortunately. Now, the fourth case, I'm just going to show, this is a pretty simple one. We were at Kesmark, and this mare was purchased as a surrogate broodmare. And as you'll see in this quick video, it's just, it comes all back to soul pressure. And there's a video of me doing it somewhere. It was a clinic, I think it might even be on Kesmark's website, not sure. But anyway, the progress on her was they were lunge lining him a day later, and the kid was up riding, and everything's good from what I heard. And I just heard that a few days ago from the owner. They were super happy.
Same thing. Wow, maybe even a little worse. Fuck. This is gonna be good. So obviously you see me rasping. There isn't one speck of wall I've hit from That one little piece right here. This all completely gone. So she is, without a doubt, walking on her soul.
Now the fifth case, this is thoroughbred racehorse, slight rotation. We're just same kind of process, not as drastic. Don't have to build the toe, where you could actually just glue a shoe on and move everything back. We have a mare in New York. You'll see the x-rays, rotate a little bit, a lot of toe. The approach they went with this, they didn't basically turn the shoe around, they got the toe totally exposed. You know, once again, a lot of pressure in that coffin bone. Got quite a bit of heel on her for my taste. I see all kinds of problems when heels are stacked up. Here's your x-ray, so you see that the bone's rotating slightly downward. Anyway, I glue on a shoe. I didn't have to build a toe like we traditionally do, but I did set it back. I just want better angles with the hoof pasturing axis. And there you are there. So we had a little bit of bruising on the sole. That was a little bit of an issue. Obviously, I only see them when they're sore, so that's what's going on here. And nice little filly, but you know, she just wasn't perfect. And this was in November, I think, mid-November, heading into the winter. And Pat, good friend of mine, I asked him what happened with her. So he told me he kicked her out for 60 days, brought her back, she won her first start, and then she retired sound and now in the jumping world. And here's the win picture. So it was a great deal for everyone. So red and blacks, if you see like those die grinders I use, or the burrs and stuff, we'll get you the model number, the die grinder. Those burrs are kind of a specialty item because they're a longer shaft, a longer cutting area. And I don't even know if you need padded shoes doing rotated horses. I like it because we get rid of sole pressure, the way the pads are hollowed out. I don't think you need the padding like we have it, but anyway, I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and once again, I would like to thank the University of Kentucky for letting us share our ideas.